Yo, what's poppin', everyone? This is your boy, Des the King, and we're back again with another episode of the King Talk TV podcast. As always, I have a special guest by the name of Jackson Gordon. Action Jackson is what we call him, actually. He is a Christian musical artist, producer. We was talking the other day. He said he curated his own genre of music. So I wanted to have him on. This is actually the second time he's been on the show. I want to have him on again to talk about, the process of creating your own genre. I've heard of people creating their own songs, creating their own, music videos and whatever, but creating your own genre, I haven't heard many people do that. But I have heard it's been done. So I'm going to bring him on the show to talk about that. If you're watching this live, please comment below who you are, where you're from, so I can shout you out. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you can't watch this whole thing today, I'll have it up on YouTube shortly after this interview. And once he joins, we're going to get the show on the road. Yo, what's poppin', man?
What's up? What's up, baby? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you? You are in where? Tennessee now? Florida?
Tennessee, Nashville.
Bro, how is it out there in Tennessee right now?
It just started getting cold, which Colorado, that's like home for us. But
Right.
it's cool, man. It's cool. It's definitely a different atmosphere. I never thought I would see worse drivers than Colorado Springs, but that is possible.
I didn't think that was possible either.
No,
Okay.
I fear for my life whenever I get out on the roads, man. It's crazy. We'll have people like passing through. The thing is like there's actually I was informed there's a shortage of police officers out here. So people are like driving through red lights. They're going 90 and 55, like whatever you want to do. But
Wow.
it's wild.
Man, that's crazy, man. I never would have thought I'll see worse, or I hear about worse drivers in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
It's it, it's crazy. It's freaking crazy. What's interesting though, bro? You say you in Nashville, right? Nashville is known for they love music out there, right?
Right.
It's like a music city, and I think is Elvis from Nashville?
He's from Memphis.
He's from Memphis. Okay, okay,
Museum.
okay.
And then I think Graceland is somewhere out here.
Nice, nice.
Like,
Go ahead, bro.
I was just saying it's like it's home or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, Nashville is a long way from Memphis, though, right? It's like 6 hours away from Memphis, right?
Uh,
Something like that.
Honestly, I have no idea. I've not been there.
No,
Uh,
you never been. Okay. Bro, man, last time we talked, I don't know if you remember, we talked about Christian music and how Christian music was up and coming, so to speak. I
yeah.
want to reiterate on that some more. What who is the Christian artist that you are listening to now, and who's your favorite, or who's the hottest Christian? And it could be a rap artist or whatever. Who are you listening to right now?
That's tough. That's really tough. Um,
I don't listen to too much Christian rap though, man. I should get into it some
it,
more.
it's an interesting genre, to be honest. It's like it's not. So I was watching a podcast the other day, and one of the guys was like, it's not like it's not like its own genre. It's like almost like a denomination. You know how you'll have like different denominations of like Christianity. It's almost like a denomination of hip hop, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like basically a subgenre. But honestly, artist that inspires me right. That's tough because I listen to like such a variation of artists. But I think this year, the I can't believe I'm saying this right now, but the Chainsmokers came out with a really good album this year. Um,
Okay.
and I know that they're like generic. They've been like very generic for a long time, but they came out with an album that hit me in a different way. It was like there was a lot of parts of it that was like very personal and very real, and it was 100% like done by them. There were no features or anything on it. Um, and that was kind of something that inspired me to really develop, okay, like who am I as an artist? Like who do I want to be? What do I, what are my characteristics as a person? What are my characteristics as a musician? Who is my inspiration? So it's like really encouraged me in that. So I guess not really Christian music per se. But as far as like Christian artists go, I gotta say Holvey is a very incredibly underrated. He's really good.
You said Hobie. What's his name?
Hulvey.
Hulvy. I have to look him up. Okay. You mentioned Chainsmokers. They're not a Christian group at all, right? Okay.
No,
'Cause
definitely.
when you said that, I was like, wait a minute, Chainsmokers a Christian group? But they're really dope though. Like they're really dope. They have a lot of what would you consider them? They're electronic, something like
Yeah,
that.
they're definitely electronic.
Yeah.
They've like seconds. They've always been like pop electronic. But their newer album, I could tell they spent time kind of themselves and kind of just waited to. It had a nice flow to it, honestly, and it had such a flow that like as an artist you want to be comfortable with the music you're making.
Mhm.
And almost it felt as sometimes their music was like forced. It was like, oh, we have to make this really good music, or we have to keep making album after album to stay relevant. But this one was like, okay, we're gonna own it, just life. We're just gonna enjoy life, and whatever happens, happens. And I could just tell that seeing that as a from an artist standpoint, that's inspirational to me. Is like, okay, I wanna just relax. Like I haven't released any music this year. uh, I think this is the first year since 20, oh wow, probably 7 years that I haven't released any music anywhere. I started out as like a SoundCloud artist, and then once I figured out how to distribute my music, back in 2017, I released my first as like a full-on like published artist, I guess. Um, but yeah, this is my first year in a long time that I haven't like pushed myself too hard because I'm. Last time we talked, I had started an idea for an album, and I ended up completely changing the name, completely changing the process. I've written the writing process is actually done. I've everything is done. I just need to record all the vocals, and then like next up is like I put this thing out. Um, but yeah, that's kind of got a little off track there, but yeah, that's what's up.
No, that's cool, man. You said they inspired you because th like a lot of artists feel pressure to always put something out to stay relevant.
Yeah,
And I want to talk about that a little bit. It seems like not even just musical artists, but any type of entertainer or whatever, like in today's age with the short attention spans that everyone has, you gotta keep putting stuff out there like all the time to like you said, to stay relevant or to stay on your mind. Because if you don't, someone could just take your spot, like that. So that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. I guess my question is like how so before that you felt pressure on yourself to release all the time?
Not
like prior
not
to that?
necessarily, but I was more like pressure on that I was putting on myself. It was nothing from anybody else, but it was like, hey, as an upcoming artist, there has to be some sort of way to, because I haven't even made it to 1,000 plays on a song before, so I'm still considered like, I guess, up and coming. Um, I'm not established in like any artistic communities. I'm really just um, one of my favorite movies is called Freebirds, and there's this. It's about these two turkeys, but one of them is played by Owen Wilson, and in the movie, he's watching this whole like cartoon that they made for the movie called El Solo Lobo, which means like,
Mhm.
and I always like to think of myself as like El Solo Lobo in the industry. Um, it's kind of corny, but it, yeah, it's hard because I actually haven't made a collaboration in almost 4 years. Like I haven't released a song with anybody else in 4 years. So I'm really going at it by myself. Um, Risky doing that. So what I've been trying to figure out the last like 3-ish years, like how do I navigate myself in this industry? How do I make friends without seeming desperate, looking for people to work with? How do I naturally let things happen? Um, I don't want to rush the process, but I also don't want to go too slow either. So it's tricky, especially in today's age when like, literally people can make a phone in 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, there's AI machines now um, that I heard that these record labels are experimenting with. And basically, this AI algorithm will take all the data from the hot songs, the artists, or whatever, and basically just from a few keystrokes, AI generate a song like just out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So it's it's crazy when you think about it, bro. Like you can just press a few buttons and it just takes data from the top 10 songs or whatever out there from the artists, whatever, takes all the information and boom, it generates a brand new song like automatically, you know. So like, not to put more pressure on you, man, but
That's foolish. That's yeah. You can't make something that a human can make from something that a human.
right, right. I get it. But my whole point is just that it's everything is becoming so automated. You know what I mean? Like I don't know unless you come out with like a big. If your goal is to, I guess. Well, let me ask you this: what is your goal with your music? Like, what do you want to accomplish with with making music and putting it out there? Like, who are you trying to reach? Well, what is your plan with that?
Honestly, I've noticed there's like a peak of artists who are people are looking for music that's authentic. They're looking for music they can relate to. So when an artist in true form expresses oneself, some of the greatest artists like William, um, golly, like movie producers like George Lucas, like putting 100% into something that's authentic to them, that they love and passionate about. Um, that's my goal is to be, William Shakespeare, my generation. Or as Will Ferrell once said, the songbird.
Will
But
Ferrell. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, I just I want to be real. I want to be 100%. And I think some artists I have to forsake quality instead of kind
Quantity.
of quality, quantity over quality, but also like being real essentially means like quality or something like that. Like they want like the raw whatever, and I'm like, there's a different way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. But like you said, there are certain things God gave us the ability to. He gave us talents, and He gave people like you talent to make music, to just artificially, I guess, auto generate an artist out of thin air. But the thing is, Jackson, man, you got to listen to it. There's a song, you can Google it, that it's an AI generated song, but it sounds dope. It sounds freaking dope, man. So yeah, that's that. But there'll be nothing that's going to ever replace something that, like you say, that is authentic, that is from the heart, that you put out there. Like the George Lucas thing you said was a perfect example. Star Wars is completely, to my knowledge at least, original. He made it up, and then 50 years later, we're still talking about it. So that's what makes, artists like yourself special, because it came from you, man. It didn't come from anyone else. It came to your head from God, and you gave it back to the world. So that's really dope, man. I want to talk about your genre that you created.
Yes.
What is it called, man?
So
What's the name of it?
I call it surf pop electronic, and that kind of like it envelops like it could be a wide spectrum, but I've always been a big fan of like the 60s to the 80s like culture, like surf music, like Beach Boys, Paul Revere and the Raiders, the Beatles, all those bands that came out from that time period. But I love mixing in my own electronic influence too. So it's interesting, and I have a whole new album. I think I definitely sent you the project. But, it's a whole. I don't even know how to explain it, man. It's just something that I personally haven't fully heard from somebody else in the way. So I don't know. It's already created, maybe it's not, but I'm the captain of my own ship, so I'm going down my direction and doing what I'm doing.
Right, man. So what inspires you to come up with your own genre? Is that a plan? Did it accidentally happen? Did you plan it to happen?
It was kind of just like, okay, how can I? Because if you listen to like my actual like full on like EDM music, you find that I always incorporate some sort of guitar or some sort of I always try to bring like a theme into it. Like there's one song that has like stadium drums, like a boom, boom, and then has like a fun like rock guitar going on, like almost like an AC/DC song. But I really want to create music that came from my soul, and so releasing this music that has like California, I consider to be my homeland, even though I never moved out. I'm a West Coast kid, so like ocean stuff, surf music, that's my thing. And so if I can take different elements from that, put that into my music somehow, like I'm going to do that to the best of my ability and make something really cool out of it. So that's kind of where the idea started, was just like incorporating sounds from my home, made songs that felt like home.
Is there such thing as Christian EDM music when it's all really just instruments put together?
I mean, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Kind of. It's there's very few artists actually doing it. I know a few, actually one of them, a good friend of mine who lives here. But there's not really like a huge demographic, just because a lot of people, especially in the church, have incorporated or like combined EDM with like drug culture, or they're like, oh, we don't want that here because we don't want people on drugs or whatever in the church. And I'm like, I get that. I've been in a crowd where there were two DJs, and it was at a Christian music festival, and everybody was jumping and having fun, and you know, we were just enjoying our time. So I've seen it. And, you know, I've seen the energy of like a youth group of like middle schoolers jumping and fun, and really just release that that joy, that joy. So there could be a platform for it. I just don't think people realize it. You know, I think Christian music industry they have certain artists that they like to keep playing on the radio because they're like, oh, this is what works. This is what's gonna sell. This is what's gonna make us money. It doesn't sound like this, then we're not really, you know, they're not really interested in anybody else except I can put you 3 artists that they're gonna tell you about: Jeremy Camp, Matthew West, and Stephen Curtis Chapman. Basic, generic, known Christian names. Everybody listens to them. Everybody hears Way FM and K-Love. And if you don't sound like that, don't even bother. You're gonna have to be independent for probably the rest of your career. I don't know about that. That's
Sometimes I can't really blame them. When I hear some Christian rap songs, a lot of them, just rap in general, a lot of them don't sound too different than just regular hip hop music. You know what I mean? I mean, if you listen, you can tell it's different.
right.
But just playing it, you would think, oh, it's just another rap song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And same thing, I guess, with Christian rock music. If you're not really paying attention, it's just going to sound like Christian rock music. And I just thought about this, and I want to ask you to know your thoughts on it. You know, when God was, what Christians are, according to what we believe, we're set apart from the world, right? We are particular people, peculiar people that set apart from the world. So shouldn't our music be set apart as well? Like, shouldn't I be able to cut on one of your tracks, listen to it a bit, and just like, okay, this sounds different here. This doesn't sound, it has an electronic, you know, feel, but it's different. You know what I mean? Shouldn't it be something there that separates it from, you know, the worldly EDM and the worldly rap and rock music, if that makes sense to you?
No, I totally get that. Honestly, I 100% agree with you. Lecrae, actually, I'm sure you know who he is. He released his Church Clothes 4 album, and I listened to it. I'm not the biggest Lecrae fan anymore. But he has a song, I think it was either the last or like the second to last on the album, and it was called Deconstruction. And essentially it was like him talking about like falling away from the faith, coming back in a different way, or something like that. I hate the term deconstruction. I think there's a lot of, it opens yourself to
Excuse me. He named his album Deconstruction?
no, the song was called
The
Deconstruction.
song? Okay.
Or you can look it up. It was an interesting project. But essentially he was going through like this whole talking about like his church hurt and like how he processed that. And it was interesting to do because I personally I don't like the concept of deconstruction. It's literally just like I'm gonna open the doorway to it's okay if I don't end up believing God after this. And if I walk away from my faith, that's acceptable. That's an acceptable thought, and it's just it's very dangerous. But the only reason I say is just because any person that I've seen walk through that deconstruction process has walked away from their faith, 85%. But he is one. Lecrae is like the top. Like whenever you mention Lecrae, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Christian rapper. Yeah, I know." Like anytime you mention Christian rap, it's always Lecrae. So he's like the I don't know, like the Jay-Z of Christian hip hop essentially, and he started collaborating with other Christian artists. I think it was really when he started to take a turn when he started working with guys like Ty Dolla $ign. I I like Ty Dolla $ign. I think he's got a great voice, but he's definitely not an artist that I would work with
Right.
because he's very not Christian. And so like I wouldn't want my music to be influenced by someone who's does not it's not necessarily holding the same views, but it's like if you don't even have the same values as I do, it's like we're on separate sides here. There's no like there's certain things that we can agree upon in the world and like we can talk about and maybe make some small talk. But at the end of the day, it's like you're on this side and I'm on this side. And so when Christian artists, like we'll keep using Lecrae as an example, but like when he started working with other artists and he started meeting with guys like Kendrick, it's very, very dangerous. And I understand the idea of like, we want to reach the world. We want to influence the world from a Christian standpoint rather than from a secular standpoint. But in order to do that, you can't put yourself in a secular standpoint to do that because again, that's like opening yourself up to,
It's a slippery slope.
yeah.
It's a really slippery slope to do that. Lecrae said a while ago, if I can remember, he said that he didn't want to be known as a Christian rapper. He just wanted to be known as a rapper. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I think he's wrong for that, but if you're a Christian artist and you're an artist, like I get it, but I consider myself a Christian artist. Not 100% of the songs I write are always going to be about Christian. Yeah, I have a couple of love songs written. I write love songs all the time, like cliche, but I write love songs, but also just really write songs about my life and open up about things that I go through, but also open up about how God has helped me through that. So I don't think it's wrong in the sense to be real, but to put aside this is where I'm standing, this is my platform and I'm not moving from this, that's very dangerous. I mean, I don't know what to start by, because to me it seems like he wanted to do that so people be more susceptible. It's almost like a church doing certain things. It's almost like seeker friendly, trying to bring in more people to the music and it's like forfeiting different compromise is the right word to use. Like once we start compromising Christians, it's really easy to
It's interesting that you said it's like what the church is doing, like just the church in general, trying to be all inclusive and, just to get people in. On the surface, it sounds good, like a good idea, but, it's dangerous, man, because, you let the wrong, there's one of my favorite Bible verses is, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So just a little, just one thing, just one person, one whatever could mess it up, for everybody. You know what I mean? I mean, even going back, using another biblical analogy, going back to Adam and Eve, it was just one sin that messed it up for everyone. You know what I mean? It was just that one moment that messed it up for mankind. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I get why Lecrae would want to do that, but that doesn't mean it's right or he should do that. And which leads to my next question. What song, if you can think of one, is your favorite song now, and that is motivating you or helping you in any type of way? It can be Christian or secular. But what song are you listening to? Real quick, while you think about that, when I get on a song, bro, when I hear a new song I like, and I really like it, I will play it over and over and over again. It would be like the song of the day, or 2 days, or 3 days. But I want to play any other song but that song, because that's just how much I like that song or whatever. Do you do the same thing? Or, I mean,
Yeah.
I know that's a separate question, but I
I
want
have,
you still to tell me about your, go ahead.
I have a playlist that's at least 3 hours, and it's just a multitude of songs that I listen to. But man, one song. Oh,
Next time I'm going to send you the questions so you can think about them before we get off. But yeah, I know it'll be hard to think of just one song. Just
I-
one song.
tip of my tongue. Hmm. I'm trying to think of that one.
I've been listening to freaking Takeoff, man. You heard about Takeoff dying, right? The rapper
Yeah.
Takeoff.
It's crazy. Here, I'm gonna type this in here.
Go ahead, man.
But it's been like my song of this year because I've had a lot of issues with friends, you know, people trying to bring me down, people trying to come at me and, you know, stab. You know, I've had people stab my back this year. I've had people walk away from friendships when that wasn't even the intent, and had people call me names and call me out on, you know, just try to condemn me. So I've been through a lot this year, and I've lost people in my circle. But you know what? There's a song that I'm working on right now, and it says, "If I can be real, the circle is smaller this year, but it looks bigger on the outside from the ones that are real." And
Nice.
it's like yeah, the circle is smaller, but it actually looks bigger because of how many people have still with me, you know, still rocking with me. So Butterfly Vibes by YB has been such a staple song in my life for the last almost 2 years now, since it came out. And yeah, it's just a fire song of, like, you know, like there's like trumpet and yeah, the chorus goes, "They go trying to cut the wings of a butterfly, but I'm gonna laugh at." Wait, but it's like it's almost, I can't remember the exact words, but it's like, "I'm gonna laugh at him like I haven't had a whole lot of people try." It's like you can't bring me down, and it's really going back to that whole concept of, like, you know, being, you know, I think it's the Book of James that says, like, I'm grateful for when trials and tribulations come before me, because I know that my faith is being tested. And it's like my faith was really tested here, and it still is, and it's stop until the end. But it's my duty as a Christian to keep doing God more when that happens, and keep diving into His Word even more.
Isn't it amazing that that we can use these situations that we are going through to produce art, like music and poetry, movies, you name it, books, all these things that we go through, we can channel that negativity and turn it into something beautiful, man. Something beautiful. Like you said, you know, you lost friends, and you went through so many things. I know you made a big move from here in Colorado, moving all over to the East Coast, or to the Southeast. And I know moving by itself is tough, man, but you can take all that and make a song out of it, put it out there, and then someone like YB Butterfly Vibes, that song, YB probably went through something to give him the inspiration to make that song. He puts it out there, you listen to it, and it helps you get through what you're going through, man. That's like the most beautiful thing about music, I think. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and honestly, I would encourage you to listen to the whole project. It's called Provision. If you look up this song, you'll be able to find the whole album.
It's called what now?
Provision,
Provision.
Provision 2,
Provision 2. Okay.
EP of the series he was doing.
Provision 2. Okay.
Yeah, I have a few songs on my album. I have one song called Sunflower, and it's about um, I'll kind of give the backstory, but I got home one day when I was living in Colorado. My roommate was working in the yard, and there was like this really tall like plant. It almost looked like a tree, but I knew it wasn't quite a tree. And I was like, "What is that?" And he's like, "It's a sunflower." I'm like, well, what do we do with it? Because that's technically a weed. He's like, "Oh, we can let it grow and see what happens." I'm like, man, what a relatable thought. Like we can let it grow, see what happens. And so I ended up writing this whole song about my anxiety about my move because I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. So that one of the quotes that I love from the song is, "If there's beauty on the other side, sure." Because it's like this could go really right or really wrong, but either way, I'm gonna have no regrets, and I can come out of this saying I did it.
Nice, man. That's so cool, man. How you did that, and that one moment of inspiration, you turned that to a whole song, man. Just that ability itself. How can I say this? How can I say this? Every human has that. Every creature has that, whether they believe in God or not, Christian or not. I believe we tap into the inspiration comes from somewhere. You know what I mean? It's not all in here. I believe in a weird way we are all just connected to this other realm that inspires us to create things. You know what I mean? It's like the spiritual world communicates with us subconsciously, influences us, and we put out our best description of what we're getting from the spiritual world. Now, that could be something from God, or it could be something from the enemy. You know what I mean? It all just depends on who are you vibing with, I guess, at the time. Even someone who's not a Christian, I believe, can still be influenced by God or by God's spirit to create something. You know, even if that person doesn't know God, you know what I mean, or is not saved in that regard. But I want to know your thoughts on the whole your whole creation process. Like, do you write notes down to make a song? Do you just go in there freehand and just play with the instruments? Like, what are you doing when you're coming up with music?
Honestly, most of my best songs I haven't even written on an instrument. Most of them I just write in my head when I'm sitting in my bed. It's really just poetry. And then I have like this idea of like how I want the song to sound, and then I'll produce a whole beat for it. And then I record it, and then boom, yeah. Sometimes I'll make the music first though, because like there's a couple songs that I've written that I was like, okay, this instrument is really fire. Do something with this. Crap, what do I put over this? I had one song called Gravity, and the beat is something that I've had for almost 2 years now. Actually, I've had my bag for a couple of years almost, and I wrote this song. I wanted it to be about gravity, but I almost didn't want it to be about gravity. So I'm like, all right, how can I make this like a play on words?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole concept of realizing, like, I started writing about brain, and I took this whole concept of like when I was a kid and I heard like, Avril Lavigne or like I don't know, like Justin Bieber. You'd hear like, oh, she broke my heart, dun, 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 something like that. Typical like 2000s, late 90s era. And I was like, I never understood that. And then I talk about in the song like how I got older, and I'm like, I realized the intimacy that you share with that person, and when you break away from that, and it's like, wow, I no longer have that connection with the person. And so I took that thought and I was like, I realized the gravity, or I said the weight of it all feels like gravity. And it's like there's a song by the Chainsmokers actually from the album, and he says, "Isn't it strange how we're strangers again?" And I'm like, man, such a concept. So like some of my writing process varies, but most of it I try to do before I make the beat, just because it makes it easier for myself. Because then when I go and construct the beat, I know what I'm looking for. But there are those, few songs here and there. I'll write the beat, and then the lyrics just go right with it.
Nice, man. It seems like everyone has their own thing. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast the other day. He had, golly, man, is his name Rick Rubin? I can't remember his name, man. He's like he produced it, that Jay-Z song years ago. I got 99 Problems with a A1. The guy who made that beat. But
Yeah.
apparently he worked with like every major artist you can think of, at least once. But in the interview, Joe Rogan asked him about that, about Jay-Z's writing process, kind of the same question I asked you. But he says Jay-Z doesn't write anything at all. He just hears the beat and goes in there and just goes off the head and just raps something over it.
Hmm.
And that's it. That's what, and I just find that amazing. But you essentially sometimes, you kind of do both. So sometimes you'll write and then go make it, but then sometimes you'll just go in there and just play around and come up with something.
Yeah. I honestly, my life quote for 2022 is gonna make like a chicken and wing it.
I like that. I like that. I mean,
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense, bro. It makes perfect sense. You just got to just do that. And I should do that. Sometimes I'm not trying to make it all about me,
No,
but sometimes
thoughts.
I will overthink something
Mm.
before, and all this time I'm thinking about, I'm overthinking it. I could just put something out there, and just be okay. Let's just put it out there and just see what happens. What I mean? Instead of just always, what about this? What about that? What about that? Do you sometimes overthink your
Dude, there was honestly a point where I just got a job in Colorado, and I told my dad, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm scared. I'm freaking out. That's where that song Sunflower really kind of plays. Like, do I want to just see what happens? Because I was scared, dude. I'm leaving a place that I've known for 10 years. And, I kind of hurt my dad a little bit in that, because it was almost like I didn't trust him. And he had done a lot to help get here. And I didn't want to break that, but I was terrified. But man, here, obviously, so clearly it worked. But yeah, sometimes depending on the thing, like if it's like doing a drug, I'd be like, yeah, you should have second thoughts about that. But if it's something that it's not really like, there's certain things in Christianity it's a good or bad situation. But when it comes to something like moving, or like something that God kind of gives us the ground to do, and I would say that's where free will plays in. I don't believe in free will and like the salvation. People have their own thing about that. I don't believe we have free will in that, because no one seeks for God, But I do believe like the free will that like God gives us the ability to just live and make choices. And a lot of times they are good or bad, but there's also a lot of, or like moving, or what career path. And people sometimes over spiritualize it. I think like, oh, did God, is this the path that God has for your life? I'm like, I don't know, but who am I to say that it's not, or who am I to say that it is? Yeah, sometimes you just got to go for it. And one verse that was such a staple for me in this move was the heart of a man plans his ways, but the Lord guides his steps. And that was one that was just like, all right, this could go bad, it could go right for me. I don't know, but I'm just gonna do it and hope for the best. And I had a conversation with someone about it. It was this random guy that I met. I work at Couch, all down here. I was just talking with this guy, and he was just like, some advice for your 20s: just live, man. Like just go out and do stuff, and don't be scared. Like, something scary, just do it. And I realized in that moment, there's a grain of salt I can take from that, because there is some things that I should reconsider, but I'd rather have the regret of doing it than the regret of not doing it.
Mm. Nice, man. Beautiful. Well said. And I agree. I definitely agree with that. I got a few more questions for you, dog. What is the next big thing you have planned? This is we're almost at the end of the year already. This is probably the fastest year ever for me. You know what I mean?
The conversation that was like, because I got big stuff planned. 2023 is going to be crazy. Oh man.
Beautiful, man. Well, what's one big thing you got planned that you don't mind sharing right now?
So obviously, album's coming out. It comes out in June. I give myself that period to just make sure that like done, everything organized, everything's planned and whatever. Because once I finish recording, I'm working on marketing for it. Luckily, I've got my dad with that. But I am planning an album release party. This is not news that I've shared with a lot of people because it's still very delicate. But I am planning an album release party. I've already got 2 up. I'm just trying to figure out how to get a venue in Colorado Springs to do it, because I want to do it because that's my homeland. And actually, the album title, I'll just say it now, is called Finding Home. And it's kind of ironic because that's where I am right now. I'm like, I don't plan on staying in Tennessee forever. I thought about moving to Florida, but then I'm like, I don't know, do I want to go there? Because that's so far away from all my friends. And I'm like, maybe I want to move back to Colorado. I'm kind of like in this weird headspace right now that I'm trying to make a decision. But yeah, so I figure no better place than my homeland to do it. So I got that, and then I'm gonna have some cool merch concepts to go with it, and just really cool stuff. Like I want it to be a big project, and I'm bringing a couple people on to help me get like almost like a mini movie essentially for 3 of the songs on the album. So lots of cool creative stuff, and then I've also got a side project that I'm working on. So I'll have like my main artist project, then I'll have a side project where my goal is to just have fun with this project and make essentially like electronic hip hop music for like video games and stuff like that, and just have some fun, something you can listen to while playing like Fortnite or Rocket League or, do whatever. But yeah, I got some fun stuff in the works.
It's cool, man. That's awesome. I pray that God blesses the work of your hands, bro, and that you have a huge year next year. You and me both, man. You and me both.
And starting CrossFit too.
Oh, you started CrossFit. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
There's a CrossFit we're 4 minutes away from here, so I'm gonna give it the old college try and hopefully come out next summer with my
with the new bar.
Yeah. Gotta lose some of this extra chin here.
Bro, I wish you would have worked out with me while you were still out here, man.
Well, all I can say is if I do move back, that will definitely be happening.
Awesome, bro. We gotta get you in jiu-jitsu too, man. You gotta learn how to.
Yeah, man.
You gotta build your muscles up, man. But you gotta know what to do with those muscles, bro. You gotta know what to do with them. They're not just for show. You gotta be able to choke someone out, if possible. Maybe, maybe. Awesome, man. Awesome. My last question, man. Do you have any question for me before we depart today?
Um, I guess one is like, where do you see life taking you? Like what I know you're passionate about like jujitsu. I don't really know what you do for work, but I mean like what is your goal? Like because we're both still like kind of young men. We still got some time on this world, but like what's the leg? I guess the question is like what's the legacy you want to leave?
Man, that's a good question, bro. You're a lot younger than me, man. but yeah, we're both young. We're both young. Man, the legacy I want to leave. I post so many videos, man. You know, I posted probably the most videos this year ever in my history of posting videos online.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah.
I'm always seeing like Desda King, Desda King, Desda King, Desda King. But that's the hustle, man. That no, for real. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did a joke, but it was like that's awesome that you're just pushing out content like that. And it's not like you're just pushing out content. It's like you're pushing out like things that matter to you.
Right.
It's cool that you're doing that, and you know I hope you continue to get exposure from that.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate that. To answer your question, man, I'm pushing out all this stuff, and you know, people watch it, and I'm thankful for the views I do get. I'm thankful for the people who do get something out of it. Obviously, it's not as big as I wanted, and I have a problem with comparing myself to other creators. You know what I mean? I think we all do it to an extent, but I want to get more views and I want to get more likes. And sometimes I get caught up in the views and the likes, and it's not really about that. When I was watching the documentary on Netflix with my brother, and it was about this lady talking about her husband from back in the day. I won't go into detail about it, but basically she was showing footage of her husband from all the way back in the 1980s. You know what I mean? And this is just footage that they had. So I thought, like, man, it's 2022, and she's able to reference this old content from 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So when I pass away or whatever, I think it's nice that people could go back and look at, you know, stuff like this, videos I did, and all the stuff that that I put out there, and they can go back and say, oh, look, this is what he did. Or my grandchildren could look at it and be like, and kind of get a picture of what their grandfather did. You know what I mean? So I think about it like that. I think about just putting stuff out there, not necessarily to get famous or to get money or whatever, even though things are cool, but mainly so you could just, I guess, leave a piece of you here forever. You know what I mean? So people can always, your family can always go back, and your friends can always go back and just type in Dez or type in Jackson, and they can just see your work, man. That's the beautiful thing about the internet. But I not to ramble too much, but I do want to break through this ceiling, you know, and really just pop off, you know, with not so much with fame, but you know, we all want to make more money, man. I don't know why a lot of Christians feel like money is bad. Money is not bad, man. We need it.
It's the love of money that's bad.
The love of money is bad. The love of money is bad.
Yeah, the love of money is the root of
the love of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So man, yeah, I want to be able to make generational money for my children and for my family, be able to take care of my family. Now, I mean, my mom, sick. She had to get emergency brain surgery a couple years ago, you know, and she's disabled now. As she gets older, I don't want to just dump her off in a nursing home. You know what I mean? I want to be able to take care of her, whatever she needs. You know what I mean? Close to me, not in some home. And that takes money to do, you know? Yeah. So bro, I'm just trying to do my thing, man. Just like you, man. That's why I love you, because you're a creator like me. And yeah, man, we're both trying to do God's work, you know, in a way that God will be pleased by it. You know what I mean? That's what I want, man. And I believe that's what you want as well. So yeah, man.
Can I give you one piece of advice?
Yeah.
One thing I've learned and find that I love the name Finding Home for my album because it's like I'm trying to figure out who I am. It's not just like where's home for me. It's like where you know, where's my head? Where's my heart? Where are the things that matter to me? Who am I? What makes me who I am? And these are like all the questions that I ask, but really one thing I had to figure out was like in finding my home, I've also figured out who I am as an artist. And one thing that I've learned, if I can give you one piece of advice in comparing yourself to other people, think about it this way. You can't compare Chick-fil-A to Raising Cane's because they're not the same restaurant. They're in the same field, but they're not at all the same restaurant. They're run by two completely different CEOs. They have two different work ethics. So they might be in the same field, but they're not the same people. So you can't compare yourself to another. Like I had to stop comparing myself to other musicians because we're in the same field, but I'm not the same person as somebody else. So that's all I have for that. It's just that simple. Easy problems require easy solutions. I gotta put that on.
I like that, man, because we tend to make the problems way worse than what they really are.
Yeah.
And I like what you just said. Right.
That's somebody else. Stop trying to be somebody else. That's not who you are. What's that one thing I always say? It's like be who be the best person that God made you to be because nobody else can do it.
Amen to that, man.
Amen
to that. My job. Awesome, Jackson. Awesome, man. You're a wonderful guy to talk to, man. And I believe this was a genuine. I didn't write down any questions, man. I just like, okay, I'm just gonna go in here. We're just gonna talk. But I think it went smoothly, and everything was great. Before we go, shout out your social media, SoundCloud, whatever you want to put out there so people can find you and contact you.
Yep. Look me up on It's Jackson Gordon. I'll be announcing some projects. You can also check out my record label, Wave Kid Records, spelled WVKD Records on Instagram. And then just look up Jackson Gordon. I'm the only Jackson Gordon on Spotify, thank the Lord. But yeah, enjoy some music. I got some new stuff coming up, so definitely, keep up with that.
Awesome, Jackson, man. Well, again, bro, I love you, man. God bless you. If you're watching this on YouTube, please give me a like, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this video. Holla at my boy Jackson. New music coming out, new content, new everything. We're gonna do it big for the next year. Jackson, man, you have a good day out there, man. And I'll talk with you soon, bro. God bless you, man.
Good, my friend.
Peace.
Blessings.